Howdy, y'all. We're back again, and we're talking Seneca with Wonder Lady. How you doing, Wonder Lady?
I'm great, thank you.
Oh, you're so sweet, and your voice sounds sweet. You're just sweet.
Oh, you're sweeter.
So, are we ready to talk about anger now that we've been angry all morning because there are charlatans that are killing people and robbing them of their money?
Yeah, because I think this is a good time to talk about how
Yeah.
you're angry after being so angry all day.
Yeah, it's appropriate as hell, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're on section 4 of our reading of On Anger, or of Anger as it's described in the Wikisource thing, which
Right.
section 4. What anger is has been sufficiently explained. The difference between it and irascibility is evident. It is the same that between a drunken man and a drunkard, between a frightened man and a coward. It is possible for an angry man to not be irascible. An irascible man may sometimes not be angry. I shall omit the other varieties of anger, which the Greeks distinguish by various names, because we have no distinctive words for them in our language, although we call men bitter and harsh, also peevish, frantic, clamorous, surly, and fierce, all of which are different forms of irascibility.
I like that there are no words.
Yeah. So,
You know, it's like, honey, things have not changed. When you
yeah.
get to certain stages of outrage and fear and just, there are no words.
Sometimes there aren't.
Maybe that's why people lash out.
Yeah, it's kind of like I believe it was Martin Luther King Jr. that said the riot is the act of the voice unheard, or something along those lines.
How very profound.
Yeah, so it's gonna happen. It's gonna express itself one way or another, whether you can put it into words or not. That's why it's so important that we examine our anger and what we're feeling.
Right.
If we just say, "Oh, I have no emotions," and ignore them, denial's not going to make it go away. You are.
No.
You're a human being, and you have human emotions that must be dealt with. That is
Right.
so. Okay. Among these, you may class sulkiness, a refined form of irascibility, for there are some sorts of anger which go no further than noise, while some are as lasting as they are common. Some are fierce indeed, but inclined to be sparing of words. Some expend themselves in bitter words and curses. Some do not go beyond complaining and turning one's back. Some are great, deep-seated, and brood with a man. There are 1,000 other forms of a multiform evil. So true. So,
Sulkiness? I've done that.
oh yeah.
I mean, someone wants me to obey them. Like, if I say, no, that's not how I deal with it, and please do not cross this boundary again, and they're, oh, everyone's like that. You just don't know. It's like, okay, suddenly I'm beyond everyone. I've been put in the freak cage. I've been told how I'm going to behave and how they're going to treat me with that statement. And instead of arguing further, because I know I can't, most of the time I just put myself in the little corner of my mind where I'm like, yeah, you think. I'm not behaving. I'm done arguing now. I'm just going to sulk. Don't actually have to go to a corner and sulk. But yeah, I'm not going to be agreeing. Oh, of course I'll behave the way you want me to. Oh, yeah, what you think is normal and I think is abuse is completely fine. Yeah, it's no big deal. I'll
Mm.
sulk. I'll sulk. Especially if that person is in authority over me,
Mm.
like a boss or like a parent telling me that, no, you're going to do it this way. Even though there's 100 ways of getting something done, and it's about behavior. Like, oh, it's fine that your coworker keeps touching your ass. Don't be
Mm.
a baby. What?
That is not fine.
That's not fine. And other things. It's, yeah, I'll avoid the coworker, but as far as the boss who's supposed to be on my side, I'm gonna sulk about that because it's like you're not helping, you're not doing your job, you're not protecting me, or you're telling me how to behave in a situation. Oh, what am I supposed to do? Just stand in the middle of the room going, anyone else want to rub my butt? Hello?
Oh my God.
It's like Buddha's stomach, rub it and you'll have good luck. No, I'm not going to do that.
And you shouldn't have to. I think that there needs to be a distinction between, and there is a clear distinction between being assertive and being just mean or horrible or angry.
Right.
You can clearly define your parameters, your boundaries, without being a douche.
Right. And I think that's like part of getting through any conflict.
Yes.
Don't be a douche about it.
Yes, but you do have to be firm. You do have to say, look, this is my boundary, and if you don't respect it, I'm out of here. That's
Right.
just it. You don't cross that line. And because if you're not assertive, if you don't put up those boundaries, people will just run you over and you'll be a consistent victim.
True.
And what kind of anger will you have then? What kind of issues will you have to deal with if you've been used and abused over and over again?
Well, hopefully you don't let it reach the point where there are no words and all you have left is action.
Right.
Because usually those actions will land you in jail or get you shunned by society.
Right, and that is not preferable. It's very important that we deal with circumstances in a healthier manner. And
exactly.
Don't let people run you over. Don't let it happen, because they will try.
Right, but pick and choose your battles.
Yes.
Not every fight is worth having.
Indeed. And it takes wisdom to know which battles are worth being fought.
Right.
All right, now we're on section 5. We have now finished our inquiry as to what anger is, whether it exists in any other creature besides man, what the difference between it and irascibility, and how many forms it possesses. Let us now inquire whether anger can be in accordance with nature, and whether it be useful and worth entertaining in some measure. So what do you think? Is there any use
for
in
anger?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lots of uses.
Like what?
It's a motivator.
Ah.
If you're afraid, you either fight or run away.
Yes.
You preserve your life that way. If something angers you, you can, and it's a cultural thing, you can say, I'm not supportive of that, and we need to change. And you can either be part of the government or you can appeal to government. You can make it known. You can offer other ideas like, can we stop doing this because this makes me angry? And I'm not saying everything that makes people angry needs to be in law, but there's a reason why we don't have children working in factories anymore and getting their hands cut off.
Yeah.
It's people got mad, and it can be useful. It can be life changing to know what is and is not okay. Part of it is about getting pissed off and being offended. Like I don't like certain types of I don't like abuse.
Right.
It makes me angry. I'm not going to put up with it. I don't want to be a part of it, but I also don't want to watch it either.
Indeed, you can't be just a spectator of abuse is complicit. In my opinion. In my opinion.
I'm suddenly thinking of the Catholic Church. Are you? Oh, my pretties.
So the Stoics have a different idea on anger, and their assessment is that it is of no use, any real use. There are better ways to be productive and have change and be an individual that stands for justice without allowing yourself to become angry, and not the initial type of anger. Remember the difference between the protopassions and the passions?
Yes.
Like, you're going to initially get angry. You can't avoid that. But if you hold on to it and you allow it to fester inside of you, that is not good for you. So,
Right.
in terms of justice and things like that, they say, look, you can stand up for justice without allowing it to wear you down, so to speak. I
Mhm.
don't necessarily agree with that. I have a more Aristotelian kind of view of anger, where I think that it can be useful, just like you demonstrated before. It
Yeah.
causes revolutions. It causes very important change in society and in our lives. But the Stoics don't argue that, and that's fine. Like I can disagree with a philosophy if I want to. I can still garner some kind of use out of the philosophy, just thinking and talking about it and reading and examining my own position on the matter. Because if
Mhm.
I've actually had positions that I've changed because I read a philosopher that challenged my idea in a way that convinced me to let go of it. So it's really important to listen to different ideas, whether or not you agree fully with them or,
Right. And that's not to say that you can't mix
yeah.
the Aristotelian and the Stoic together.
Oh, I do. I
You
very much
know.
do when it comes to morals and things like that. I have some utilitarian stuff. I have some existential stuff in my morals. I have, which a lot of people would argue, there's no existential morals. There is. But
Well, we are going to have to talk about that.
oh yes, we will. I think you'll like what I have. Well, I have something planned. Yeah,
Oh,
that I'd like
plans.
to go over. Yeah, I want to talk about an existential feminist
Okay.
at some point with you that I think
Yes,
you'll enjoy.
please.
But anyway, moving on. Whether it be according to nature will become evident if we consider man's nature, than which is more gentle while it is in its proper condition. Yet what is more cruel than anger? What is more affectionate to others than man? Yet what is more savage against them than anger?
Or
Man
man.
Yeah, and this is a good point though. Like, if you're angry with someone that you deeply love, it can really cut off that feeling of love that you have for them, and you can hurt them. You can say hurtful things. You can do hurtful things, just because of that initial angry feeling.
Mhm.
So that's something you definitely have to examine when you're in that moment.
Oh, yes.
Um,
I totally agree.
Mankind is born for mutual assistance, anger for mutual ruin. That right there, to me, is an excellent quote. Mankind is born for mutual assistance, anger for mutual ruin. Wow. I mean, that is
Yeah.
so true. So,
And a little disturbing.
yes, it is. But, we can't look away from things that disturb us.
No, but we can choose when to look.
Yes. Mankind is born for mutual assistance, anger for mutual ruin. The former loves society, the latter estrangement. The one loves to do good, the other do harm. The one to help even strangers, the other to attack even its dearest friends. The one is ready even to sacrifice itself for the good of others, the other to plunge into peril, provided it drags others with it. Yeah.
Oh,
If
dear.
I go down, I'm taking you with me. Yes. I've seen that dynamic happen a lot. And I've had that feeling before.
Yeah, I have
And
to. I
a,
have to.
a good
Yeah.
rule of thumb for me is
Uh huh.
anything that I have experienced or felt or thought about is more than likely being experienced and felt and thought about in other human beings.
Right.
So if you want to know other people, know yourself.
Well, I have to say, this is also a good reason while reading is important. So
Yes.
much more so, I think, than movies or television. Because when you're reading a book, you can put your thumb in and you can think,
Yes.
but you get to be put in or watch or whatever different situations that you would never experience in life or maybe that you will grow to experience in life, but it's like the training wheels. And
Yeah,
it's a good time to reflect.
indeed. Because when you're reading, you're a lot more present with the ideas that you're exposing yourself to and
Right.
thinking about and relating to. And you don't have so much distractive stimulus going on.
Exactly.
And it's not like you watch a documentary and pause it to think about it and contemplate it deeply.
And there's no musical soundtrack amping your emotions in the background.
Yes, exactly. So, who then can be more ignorant of nature than he who classes his cruel and hurtful vice as belonging to her best and most polished work? Anger, as we have said, is eager to punish, and that such a desire should exist in man's peaceful breast is least of all according to his nature. For
Oh, you
human
don't know me.
For human life is founded on benefits and harmony and is bound together into an alliance for the common help of all, not by terror, but by love toward one another. Now, this is very idealistic, I think. And this
And
is
it's also reflective of the fact that maybe life was just so difficult to get through that you did need more community to get through.
yeah. And I mean, it's the same now. In fact, I would argue that it's actually that dynamic is a lot stronger and a lot more and
But it's so less obvious
yeah, it's less
because
obvious.
you can go to the store and you're people really do give the impression that you're on your own and it's you and me against the world,
Yeah, and
you
it's so
know.
not because thousands, if not millions of people had contributed to that very thing that you're buying.
Exactly. But it just seems so far removed.
It does. And that's the illusion that is really, I think, it kind of makes our lives seem so out of touch with reality. It's like I keep talking about Baudrillard, but uh,
Go ahead.
but it's that hyper realism. You know, we watch reality TV shows and we consider that real, but it's not. It's hyper real. It's more real than real, and
Exactly.
that act of going to the store is more independent than independent,
Right.
right? It's beyond that, and it's absurd.
It is.
So
And it's upsetting.
it is. But I mean, as far as what we've read here, that human life is founded upon benefits and harmony, is bound together into an alliance for the common help of all. That's a nice idea, but is it true? Is it accurate? I can't help but wonder because when I look at human nature, it is not at all that way. Sure, we have a drive to work together and live in harmony and care about the helping everyone else and utilitarianism and blah blah blah. But
Uh-huh.
we also have this need to belong to a tribe or belong to oneself, be an individual, and fight for what you want as a person. That's kind of what freedom is about, because if we're all working for everyone else, you don't have the individual freedom.
No,
So,
but we have machines to help us. We don't have to have 12 people on an afternoon build a house. We don't have to have a whole community running buckets when a fire happens. In fact, they want people to stand back for
yeah.
health and safety. We're less connected now, maybe, but yet more.
It gives the illusion of connectivity because, like, you and me, we're talking online, right?
Right,
But we're not face to face. We're not
right.
in this reality that's real. It's a hyper reality. So we're missing a lot of different details that would contribute to the conversation. So just like, all the different smells that you experience and you don't
How
even
did you know I smell?
because you're a human being with an olfactory system. Uh, but I mean,
I
even
had to. I had to.
But going back to this whole harmonious, idealistic way of looking at mankind, that's totally, it's kind of naive. Because
Yeah.
when I look at mankind, I see all kinds of devastation. And it's not necessarily just due to anger either. It's due to profits or taking care of one society over another, which is totally not harmonious with the cosmopolitan view, not skeptics, but Stoics.
Right.
So while we might be striving towards this kind of idea in Stoic thought, it's not the reality. It's just like, with libertarianism. It only works if everyone's a libertarian and everybody has a system of morals set in place that strives to keep that idea alive. And it's the same thing with the Stoic ideas.
Right.
At least the ones here. But according to them, the way that they want to define nature as, according to them, they want to define nature as this, as the alliance for the common help of all. And that's what they mean by living in according to nature. So they're kind of redefining it in a way that has a lot more of a foundation in morals than most other philosophical ideas of nature. So
Right.
I just wanted to clarify what they mean by according to nature, because it's kind of difficult to define. Moving on to section 6. What then? Is not correction sometimes necessary? Of course it is, but with discretion, not with anger. For it does not injure, but heals under the guise of injury. We char crooked spear shafts to straighten them, and force them by driving in wedges, not in order to break them, but to make the bends out of them, and, in like manner, by applying pain to the body or mind, we correct dispositions which have been rendered crooked by vice. So again, we're going back to these ideas of virtue and vice, because according to the Stoic idea, if we indulge in vices, that is the corruption of nature. That is how we stray away from this idealistic society of virtue.
I can't help but hear vice as the word sin.
Yes, and it's very funny that you should mention that, because if you think about this time, Seneca was around the time of, like I said, Nero and Caligula and stuff like that. So we're talking about Rome. Where was the church founded?
Which church?
The Christian church.
Oh, Rome.
Rome, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they already had these ideas set in place. Now, how they were able to get people to convert to Christianity was they were going to say, hey, look, we've had these ideas. The Stoic philosophy was very much a Roman society norm. Okay, so in order to convert these people, they had to say, look, we have vice and we have virtue. This is what they are. And they're just like what you already have in place. Therefore, it's easier for you to convert, just like with the holidays. So they took Stoicism and Stoic ideas and they slid it in there so people would accept it, because it was already in their culture.
Right.
So a lot of the ideas that the Christian church has in terms of what's sinful and what isn't and stuff like that, they stole from the Stoics.
Oh, I have no doubt.
They straight up stole it. So next time you hear somebody talking about, Christianity is what defines morals. Nah, bitch, what was defining morals before your church was Stoicism.
Right.
So the physician at first, when dealing with slight disorders, tries not to make much change in the patient's daily habits, to regulate his food, drink, and exercise, and to improve his health merely by altering the order in which he takes them. The next step is to see whether an alteration in their amount will be of service. If neither alteration of the order or of the amount is of use, he cuts off some and reduces others. If even this does not answer, he forbids food and disburdens the body by fasting. If milder remedies have proved useless, he opens a vein, If the extremities are injuring the body and infecting it with disease, he lays his hands upon the limbs. Yet none of his treatment is considered harsh if its result is to give health. Oh,
my
so
goodness.
this is just so cringe, right? Because we're talking about the physician's habits at the time, and it's, of course, people during the norms during that time in medicine was, bloodletting and all this horrible stuff that we now look upon it as primitive and, atrocious and definitely not of any use. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to read it in these postmodern kind of times.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you read up on that, ancient medical practices from that time, the ideas that they had about the body are absolutely horrendous.
oh yeah,
It's a wonder that we're still here.
it is. But see, like, I think the point that he's trying to make is, like, even if you look at the way we deal with teeth now, pulling teeth in the future will look like a horrible practice. But we do it and we accept it. We don't say,
Right.
oh, this is a horrible torture. We know that the physician or the dentist or whoever is doing the best they can. So we're not judging this as something that is a bad practice. They're trying to make them healthier. So that's
I
kind of,
can't wait until we can 3D print our repairs right in our mouths without pain.
hell yeah. The future for the win, y'all.
Uh-huh.
I honestly thought that we were going to have flying cars by now. And
Oh, it would be
and
nice.
rosy robots. Like, bitch, clean my house. I don't want to have to do this anymore. Make me some coffee in the morning, Rosie. From the Jetsons. Rosie robot.
I love her.
I do too. She's snarky, and you know how I feel about snark.
She was the only one there with sense.
Mm-hmm. Another reason why I need her.
Oh.
Oh. Similarly, it is the duty of the chief administrator of the laws or the ruler of the state to correct ill-disposed men as long as he is able, with words and even with gentle ones, that he may persuade him to do what they ought, inspire him with love of honor and justice, and cause them to hate vice and set store upon virtue. He's saying basically that you don't have to get angry to correct people. And there is a good argument to be made in some context to respond with more of a calmer demeanor, and you'll get a better response. You can actually correct people instead of just yelling at them. Kind of like you'll attract more flies with honey than vinegar, kind of thing.
I'd rather use vinegar. Just
salt,
saying.
salt and vinegar for me, baby.
Uh-huh. A little bit of pee.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Hashtag don't use pee.
Not even for eye drops.
Yes, you'll get an eye infection. Don't do it. He must then pass on to severe language, still confining himself to advising and reprimanding. Last of all, he must betake himself to punishments, yet still making them slight and temporary. He ought to assign extreme punishments only to extreme crimes, that no one may die unless it is even to the own criminal's advantage that he should die. Wow,
Interesting.
I wonder what the Stoic stance on death penalty is. Last resort, right?
Well, it depends on the Stoic.
I suppose you'd say so, yeah.
Well, Marcus Aurelius really did not like Christians, and he was very Stoic until it came to Christians.
Yeah, everybody's got their
Treasures?
Achilles heel, I guess. He will differ from the physician in one point alone. For whereas physicians render it easy to die for those to whom they cannot grant the boon of life, he will drive the condemned out of life with ignominy and disgrace, not because he takes pleasure in any man's being punished, for the wise man is far from such inhuman ferocity, but that they may be a warning to all men, and that, since they would not be useful when alive, the state may, at any rate, profit by their death. And that's another thing, too, that now we know more about crime and punishment and things like that. We know that these kind of punishments don't deter crime. We know
Uh-huh.
that. We've studied it. We have the results are in. And it turns out not so much. So, yeah. Man's nature is not, therefore, desirous of inflicting punishment, neither. Therefore, is anger in accordance with man's nature, because it is desirous of inflicting punishment. I will also adduce Plato's argument. For what harm is there in using other men's arguments so far as they are on our side? A good man, he says, does not do any hurt. It is only punishment which hurts. Punishment, therefore, does not accord with a good man, wherefore anger does not do so either, because punishment and anger accord one with another. If a good man takes no pleasure in punishment, he will also take no pleasure in that state of mind to which punishment gives pleasure. Consequently, anger is not natural to man. So,
I disagree.
go ahead and tell me why.
Uh, I think being angry or getting angry is very natural.
Yes.
It's just how you compartmentalize or how you deal with it or just the different ways people manage their emotions. I think that's the thing that makes the difference. Some
Yes.
people may not think that they get angry, but they do.
Yes.
Whether it's like another human hurting them or just circumstances, like when people die, you get angry.
Yes. And that kind of falls in line with the whole, at least from the Stoic point of view, the protopassion side of it. Of course, you're going to get angry. You're going to, and it's about more of the holding on to it, like holding a grudge. So I think what he's trying to address here, what Seneca's trying to address here in this statement, is most of the time when we hold on to anger, we want revenge. So if somebody were to, like, say, take a loved one's life, you would be angry, and rightfully so.
Oh yeah.
They took away something from you that in which you loved, a person who was very important to you.
Right.
So a healthy way of dealing with that would be to recognize it for what it is and go ahead and move through the stages of grief and then come to acceptance. Where it becomes tricky and where it becomes harmful is when you hold on to that anger so much that you will not rest and let go and come to acceptance until the person that killed your loved one is punished. Preferably in a way like the eye for an eye thing. That's usually what humans go towards, is the eye for an eye. You kill
Right.
my loved one, I'm going to kill you kind of thing. So that's kind of what he's highlighting here, is this need for revenge, this need for primitive justice, for lack of a better term.
Payment.
Yes, you get what you're due. And that's a dynamic that we see over and over again that is hurtful.
Eye for an eye is unending.
Yes.
The government can kind of pull it off, but say the neighbor leaves dog poo on your yard, so you leave dog poo on their yard. Eventually, they're going to one up it. There's an escalation with anger and
Mm-hmm.
action. And eventually, it just becomes a secular thing until somebody flips out or until someone gets thrown out of their apartment or someone just moves.
Yeah. Yeah, it snowballs like that. It gets
Mhm.
to where it's so far out of hand that there's absolutely no going back. The one thing that he points out here that I think is interesting is that we take pleasure from punishment. And that's the thing. That's why it keeps coming back, because
Do we, though?
we actually enjoy it. Well, yeah. I mean, why else would we have had public hangings and stuff like that? Because people enjoy seeing blood. They enjoy carnage, especially to someone that they feel is an other or had been harmful to them or their society or country, what have you.
True.
If you're a traitor, then you betrayed me, not only my country but me. So I want to see you punished, and I take pleasure in that. It's just like the whole hell concept. There are Christians out there that believe in hell, and they take a lot of pleasure out of telling atheists that they'll see them burn in hell, and they'll laugh as they watch us suffer for an eternity of torment. They take pleasure in it.
I heard of a young woman who she didn't like her mother, and her mother had died, and she had a perverse type of pleasure of the idea that her mother was watching her from hell have a good life without her.
Wow.
It was really kind of cringy.
Yes, it's disturbing.
Yeah, very.
But I mean, I can't say that I haven't myself had thoughts like that, especially during times of surprise, great anger.
Exactly.
Like I said, whenever you're reading this kind of text, you have to think, okay, what time is he living in? What did they know at the time? And what is he really highlighting here? And I think that he's highlighting not so much that anger can't happen, it's not really quote unquote natural, but that the results of it are very disturbing. And they don't go with what they call in accordance of nature, which is the good of the all. Which, remember,
Right.
I gave that definition before of what they mean by in accordance with nature. That's what they mean.
Yes.
So, in this context, then yes, anger is not according to nature. But as far as it being natural in the wild, yeah, definitely. I mean, otherwise it wouldn't exist, right? So,
Right. Well, I still think it's natural, but I think I think even his writing this, anyone who had read it at the time would be, I don't know, maybe not convinced, but it might have helped certain people within that society um, think before lashing out or beating somebody or reacting in such a way. It may have like curbed tempers
yes.
because the language is kind of manipulative right there.
Yeah, it is. But for good reason, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, you know,
they were crucifying motherfuckers back then.
not all manipulation is bad,
Yeah.
especially if you can get people to stop beating each other to death in the street over something stupid.
Yeah, like you poured out your piss pot and it trickled into my property.
Or you have the plague and I'm going to take it out on your children who show up at my door looking for food.
Mm. Wow, that got dark.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end it on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching. Did you have any more to add to that, Faye, or?
No, I think that's pretty much perfect. I think there's some nuances there that weren't in the other sections that we covered. So
Yes.
I'm looking forward to reading the comments to see what people think about the different forms and whether or not anger is natural, um, and what they think about punishment or outrage or justice.
Definitely. And I'd like to hear their thoughts on punishment being a pleasure, because to me, when I read that like I have a physical reaction to that. Like it
Yeah.
disturbs me in a way that a lot of this other stuff hasn't yet.
And
So,
we're not talking about punishment being a pleasure as in a kink. So before anyone writes that, come on.
or
Keep
hey,
to the spirit of the video.
yeah, well, do y'all like being spanked? I do.
Yeah, that's not the punishment we're talking about. For the pleasure.
or
Just
are
like
we?
make that well, you know, you might be. I'm not.
Now I'm thinking about it. I'll tell you that. Oh yeah, baby. But no, seriously, It's like you were saying, though. We're not talking about that kind of pleasure. The context of it is, do you enjoy revenge? Do you enjoy partaking in watching your enemies suffer?
Yeah. And what might be even too much for an enemy to suffer?
Oh, good question. Very good
It,
question.
and when it comes to enforcement of law, if the person who wronged you is being handled by the law, are you more likely to let your anger go, or can you then process your grief or your feelings and be able to do that in a healthy, productive way? I mean, I think that is part of it.
Yes, big part of it. Because, like I said, these writings, this philosophy, and lots of different philosophies, like you can read other books that discuss these topics, and it really makes you reflect on how you deal with life. And that, to me, if anything, if you gain nothing else from all of this, it should be that. It should be better ways to handle life and the challenges that you will inevitably face
Yeah,
while existing as a human being.
because it's a very strange world if nobody has feelings of anger ever.
Yeah, yeah. What?
Oh, well, that feeling. I never have that feel. Come on.
Hmm. Yeah, denial does not make it go away.
No, I never get angry. I never have rage. Really? Because I've been in the car with you, and I hear some rage.
Yeah, I don't have rage is debunked.
Right. It's how you work with that. But let's see what Seneca says next week.
Yay, I can't wait. And thank you again, Wonder Lady. It's always a pleasure.
I
Always.
love doing these with you.
They're fun, right? It's
Yeah,
fun.
it is.
And disturbing, but in a good way. In a good way.
Right.
So, thank you all for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Mhm.
Bye!
Bye.